The hot desert sun beats into a narrow courtyard. Temperatures reaching well above 100 degrees are not unusual. There is little comfort for prisoners at Sonora State Prison in Mexico. 70 of the prisoners here are Americans, mostly young, accused or convicted of marijuana offenses.
I feel like all Americans coming across the border, coming down here to Mexico, are in for trouble if they're going to have anything to do with dope, because the police are really efficient in apprehending them.
We were apprehended at a roadblock just north of Guaymas. I guess they started setting up now to prevent the flow of marijuana, and they just tore the car apart and found some grass. And I never wanted to use any narcotics in Mexico because I didn't know the penalty, which is very serious. It's not a joke down here. There's people charged for 8 years here, you know. It's not a joke.
Throughout all of Mexico, nearly 300 Americans are being held on drug charges. The basic menu at Sonora: tortillas, sometimes bread, but always beans. One cell has been converted into a small store where prisoners with money can augment the prison fare. But for most, it remains a dismal experience.
While you're here, you can expect the food to be deplorable, the sanitary conditions to be deplorable, the morale to be deplorable. You get no sympathy. You'll get few outlets to make contact with the outside world. There's not much more I can say except that if you're coming down here, if you're going to stash marijuana, you better stash it good.
Some prisons are more progressive. At the Jalisco State Penitentiary in Guadalajara, families are permitted to visit prisoners on the weekends, and a fiesta air prevails. For the Americans here, life is not too bad, especially for those with money. This prisoner, his name is Paul, is serving a 5.5-year sentence for trafficking in marijuana. But he can buy fresh fruits in the prison store and special meals in the restaurant. He spends about $4 a day. The money is sent to him by friends back home. He has fitted out his cell with bookshelves and a record player. Paul, you've been here about 3 years, and judging from this cell we're in, it looks rather comfortable. How do you account for the decorations?
Well, I just see something nice. I try to keep it together. I've had a lot of people come before me here and since I've been here, and like what you see here is mostly what I have collected from what has been left when people do get out.
Prisoners sentenced to 5 years or less may buy their way out of jail by posting bond, usually several $1,000s. But those with sentences over 5 years must serve the full term. There is no parole of a narcotic sentence. Many prisoners feel that American authorities in Mexico have let them down, but the Consul General in Hermosillo, Elmer Yelton, denies that charge.
When they're in Mexico, they are not under the protection of American law. They are strictly subject to Mexican law, Mexican customs, Mexican justice. And if they're not willing to submit to that, then they really have no business traveling.
John and Holly are husband and wife, both prisoners at Sonora. Mexican police found 15 kilograms of marijuana in their truck.
Yes, they kept us at the Ministro de Publico's office for 2 days without food and water or anything to eat until we made our testimonies, declarations stating the facts behind the case and the questions they wanted to know about where it was found, where we bought it, how much we had, how much we were going to sell it for, how much we made, what we did for a living.
Tell me, Holly, you're here in the women's section of the prison. How often are you allowed to visit with John?
Every Wednesday and Sunday from 10 till 3:30, which isn't enough.
Many young Americans come to Mexico seeking a drug paradise, and drugs are easily available. But they might remember one other fact. There are more Americans in jail in Mexico on narcotics charges than anywhere else in the world, except for the United States itself. George Nathanson, CBS News, Hermosillo, Mexico.
They say the group is held together by a kind of religion. They traveled more than 50,000 miles around the country looking for their own utopia, a farm, land to live on and grow organic crops. But they found the hard way authorities don't consider some crops to fall into the organic vegetable category. One of them is hemp, marijuana, and state narcotics agents in a surprise raid on the 800-acre farm found more than 500 healthy plants. It was growing heartily along with the other crops in the Somerton, Tennessee farm. Officials estimate the crop, once processed, would have been worth more than $20,000. No one would own up to planting the marijuana, so 4 of the group leaders were taken into custody and later released on bond. Stephen Gaskin, founder of the Monday Night Group, as they're called, says he knew nothing about the grass.
Stephen, are you growing marijuana here?
Who, me?
Yes. What are you growing here, bud?
Corn, okra, tomatoes, carrots, turnips, peas, squash.
Had you ever considered growing marijuana?
Everybody always considers it.
The families may well move on as they moved from other towns where law enforcement was a bit too stringent for their liking. As Stephen Gaskin put it took Moses 40 years to find the promised land. Who knows how long it'll take us? Del Vaughn, CBS News, reporting.